What it do, fam? It's your man DJ Shawnee Mo coming to you. I want y'all to check this out. Sean speaking.
Hi, Sean.
Hey, I'm sorry about that.
No worries, no worries. Is this a cell phone or is this your house phone?
This is my house phone.
Okay, okay. Were you doing well besides, I guess, being a little bit out of work?
I mean, as well as one can, be in this state of the employment game, yeah.
Yes, sir. How long have you been unemployed?
Since December 28th.
Okay, so it's not that long then.
Too long for me.
Yes, sir. I understand. Well, the reason I am calling is to kind of understand your career goals, kind of what you're looking for.
Okay.
I like to talk to you about some of your previous experiences and I guess what kind of jobs you're looking for.
Okay.
But you've worked with tech systems in the past, right?
Yes, I have.
When was the last time you worked with one of our contractors?
Back in March of 2008.
Okay. So it's been a couple of years.
Yes.
But so what were you doing before? I guess a couple months ago.
Hold on for a second, okay?
Okay.
Say that again now.
Where were you working a couple months ago?
I was working for a company called WorldCo. I was a contractor for a company called WorldCo Consultants out of New Jersey.
Oh, okay.
They had a contract here with Pew Charities.
Oh, okay. So you did work around the area then?
Yes.
Okay. And how long was that contract?
Actually, it was supposed to be 30 days. It started in late January, and near the end of that 30 days, they extended the contract for 6 months.
Oh, wow.
And then because the performance was so well and so many people were giving such great feedback, they extended it. Well, the next thing they did was they extended it again. And, I was told indefinite, but come December 28th, I was actually on my way home after, the Christmas holiday and a day's work. I got a phone call. I was about 5 minutes away, 5-10 minutes away from home on the bus, and I got a phone call from the recruiter stating that he had got a call from the HR department letting him know that my contract had come to an end.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So it was pretty sudden then, right around Christmas and all that fun stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I think the worst thing for me was I had just finished a day's worth of work and no one knew. The only people that were aware of what was about to come down were the people in upper management. My manager didn't know. The coworker that had actually come in for the day, he didn't know. I didn't know. And, it was just really sudden.
Did they tell you why?
No, they never gave a reason why. All they said was that the contract had come to an end. But what was funny was immediately, I would say a little over 12 hours after I had touched base with, some of the former coworkers, letting them know because I still had some stuff there. They brought somebody else in.
Really?
Yeah. But, the word was they didn't know what they were going to do with the position. So, go figure.
Right. Wow, that kind of hit you then.
In more ways than one. I went through a lot, to get myself established as a sound technician and one who was capable of being able to, you know, handle the client, deal with the client on a daily basis. It was a beautiful place to work at. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
A lot of the folks, but then, as long as I've been in this field, when you're dealing with desktop support and help desk, it's always high maintenance. I mean, even down to the smallest issue, it's always, a high maintenance situation. So, I was able to do that. And once again, like I said, just trying to establish myself as a sound technician and one who was capable of being able to provide that kind of service to the client was a challenge, but I managed to do it, and I had a lot of people who supported me and was in my corner. So, for that to happen was just like a punch in the face.
What? Why do you feel like you're just dealing with customers all day? It's pretty high maintenance, you feel like?
I mean, it's part of the job.
Right.
When I first came into it, that was the one thing that, I was taught. Um, you're going to deal with the client on an everyday basis, whether it's
Yeah.
over the phone or whether you see them face to face, you're going to deal with the client. And that was, the skill that I concentrated on as far as the technology side of the house goes. Well, I mean, I never got the opportunity to go to school, but I spent a lot of hard hours here at home,
Right.
trying to stay abreast and up on the technology. But I think my key thing was making sure that the customer got the service that I was being paid to provide them.
Right, right. I'm glad you understand that, because I do talk to a few people every now and again, and they kind of do forget that, it's a service industry.
Yeah.
And I mean, just like what I'm doing, like I have to, please people, and I mean that's why you get paid. So I mean, it's pretty important. That's why they extended your contract, probably, because you were doing a very good job with the customer. You probably got some pretty good feedback from that.
Yeah, I mean, I know I did, but I think the sad part about it was, in a way, I kind of felt like, it wasn't, the company didn't do what they were supposed to do to try to cement it. I mean, there was talk of me even becoming permanent, and I mentally, just as much as my family did, we kind of geared ourselves towards that particular, avenue. But I understand that it's the nature of the game. I think the only issue I had was just the manner in which it was done.
Right.
That's probably it. And then to hear, because I periodically, keep in contact with some of the people that I worked with and worked for, to hear that after I left, service went down, and they were not pleased with it. And upper management, I mean, they knew it, but upper management, didn't care. I think, to me, that hurts, because you dedicate so much of your life and your time to making sure that you provide the best service that you can.
Right. So who did you actually support? Like, what kind of program did you support?
What do you mean?
Like, who were the customers? Were they? I know you said WorldCo, but who does WorldCo work for?
Well, WorldCo was the company that I represented. Pew Charitable Trust was the company I was contracted to through WorldCo.
Okay. So what were your daily what kind of tasks would you resolve, or what kind of issues would you resolve?
You name it. Anything under the desktop support help desk realm, you name it, I've done it.
Was it kind of like a 50-50, like just whatever came across your desk you had to take care of?
Not just whatever came across my desk. If it came in the ticketing system, if an individual walked up to my desk, which was probably about 80% of the time, you get up and go solve it. I mean, something as simple as I can't get on the internet to as, more extensive as I can't connect to the network. I lost, like, they had voice over IP phones, and
Right.
they would connect to the network through these phones, and sometimes the jacks were not hot, sometimes the jacks went out. So I would go back in the server room to find out exactly what jack was and what jack wasn't. You could switch ports, you name it, audio visual backup and setup, you name it, we did it.
Okay. So is that one reason you liked working there as well, because you did have such a broad range of different tasks to solve?
That was the small part. The major part was the people. I mean, like I said, it took me a while to establish myself and get their confidence built in me. But once we, got to that place where they felt confident about being able to ask me, to help them resolve their problems, that was the big thing. I mean, I just love going in to provide that kind of service to the people. I did.
Right. Oh, I like to hear that. So it was a call center environment then?
No, actually it wasn't. It was, your average work environment. There were three of us. We had cubicles. We were right there, right along with the people that worked for the company. I mean, they looked at us and we looked at them.
Oh, wow. So how big was the office then?
The office is like, they have 4 floors, 5 floors in this building. Actually, they bought the whole building. So the building was basically all of them.
Okay. And everyone the 3 people in the other cubes, they were help desk and desktop support too, and y'all just supported that whole building?
Yes.
And how many people were in the complete building?
Guessing, say anywhere between 100 to maybe 200 people.
Okay.
Might be more.
Yeah.
And then, they also had an office in Philadelphia where they had 3 or 4 guys there, but we would periodically have to provide support to those folks, over the phone via remote. And then they had an office, they got an office in Brussels. They got some other offices located throughout the United States that we would, from time to time, have to provide support to also.
Okay. So what were the main types of hardware and software that y'all used?
It was a window-based environment.
Okay.
As far as the hardware, everything was IBM ThinkPads.
Really?
Yeah,
That's fun.
it's okay.
So not the biggest fan?
Um, you know what? I'm very neutral about all of them. I take my hat off to these companies because, they have it set where we can do certain things and certain things we can't do, and that's when they come in and, they get paid the minute that the call comes in and say, hey, we need somebody to come out.
Right. Yeah. Only reason I was saying IBM ThinkPads were fun. That's what we used to.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, they're nice. They're nice systems. They're nice systems.
Yeah, they do the job. I mean, they're nothing fancy, but they do the job, and they're tough,
Yeah.
They're tough. And so, do you prefer the Windows environment?
That's what I was trained on. Yeah, but it's always nice to learn a little bit more.
Okay. Have you worked with any other kind of software environments?
Not in a work setting, but here at home, I've dabbled in quite a few.
Okay. Also, kind of self-train yourself?
Yes.
Have you taken any classes, or do you just pretty much you do everything like online and whatnot?
I have my DCSE certification, but I haven't with having to support a family. It's not an excuse. It's just a bare fact. With having to support a family, you don't get the opportunity to take a minute to go to school to get the certifications. But our children are a lot older now, and I've set a goal that once I've gotten myself employed again, one of the things that I'm going to do is go after a couple certifications.
Okay. Okay. What's your family like?
What do you mean?
What's your family like? How old are your kids?
20, 16, 14, and 13.
Oh wow. Okay. You got a wide range there.
Yep.
Cool. Cool. And you've always lived in the DC metro area?
Yes.
Okay.
With the exception of the time that I was serving in the military.
Oh, where were you based out of?
Bamberg, Germany.
Okay. Okay. I grew up in North Carolina, so there's a few bases that were right around me.
Oh, okay.
And there's one in Fayetteville, Moorhead, Jacksonville. I don't know if any of those sound familiar to you.
Vaguely.
Okay. No worries then. No worries. But so would you consider WorldCo like a position that something that you would want to take in the future? If I could find you something just like WorldCo?
Yeah, I mean, WorldCo, it's funny you ask that question because I get more calls from more companies that are looking to place more people,
Right.
and I mean, right now, my thing is just getting employed.
Right.
As far as the company goes, well, of course, I expect the best out of them like they expect the best out of me. I understand that in some situations, the only thing we can do is provide you employment. We don't do your benefits and this, that, and the fourth. Okay, that's the nature of the game. But, the big thing is I just want to be employed.
Right. Well, the reason I ask is because, I mean, you worked with tech systems in the past, and hopefully the last recruiter you work with, told you the same thing. We don't want to just set you up with, one job and, if something better comes up, you could leave. What we want is to be able to provide you with continuous employment. So we want to find you a position that you actually like. Like I know you're trying to get employed as quickly as possible. I know it's very important for you, but we want to find you something that you like, so you stay for the extended contract. Because as you know, or if you remember, most of the work that we do is contract to permanent. We do have some contract work, and we have very little direct hire. So most of it is contract to perm. And so we want you to stay there for the extent of the contract and hopefully go permanent with the client. And so that's the only reason I'm asking you that, so that we can find you something that you'll like and you'll stay with, so you can feel stable and hopefully start to plan around that.
Okay.
So I guess with that said, what do you feel like your perfect job would be?
My perfect job would be back where I was, to be honest with you.
Okay.
But I mean, once again, I love doing, the desktop support. I prefer to do the actual hands-on. I don't mind doing the phones. But I'm much stronger, in the hands-on area.
Okay.
But I mean, really, I can't be choosy. I know one of my big things is that I don't want to get lowballed as far as the pay goes. You can't expect me to travel from here to Fairfax, Virginia, and you only pay me enough to be able to get on the bus and barely buy a sandwich. I don't want to get lowballed in the pay area. But
there's no worries. What were you getting paid before?
About $18, $19 an hour.
Okay.
And that's low. I mean, honestly, that's low. And I'm just talking about based upon the experience that I bring to the table. I mean, the majority of the interviews that I've ever gone on, the one thing that they always say is that we want somebody to come in and be able to hit the ground running.
Right.
And I ultimately end up hitting the ground running, because the biggest transitions for me is learning the environment and how they use the technology,
Right.
And once I get that down within probably a 3-week to a 1-month period, the rest of it is a piece of cake.
Right.
And I've always found that, when I get into that situation where folks are comfortable with me and I'm comfortable with them, someone always has an issue with it, but then you go back and say, well, in the interview, this is what you wanted, this is what you asked for.
Right.
So, in all honesty, I know what's required of me for this particular position, but I just want to get myself in a position where, if this is what you asked for, then be satisfied and happy with what you're getting. There's always room for growth. I'm not going to come in acting like I'm Jesus Christ, and I mean, this is how I feel in some of my interviews. They want Jesus and I'm not him.
Right.
I'm just a technician, but I can give you what I can give you. And if there's room for growth, I'm willing to grow. If you want to take the time to show me some things that I don't know, I'm willing to learn that, but if it's one of those situations where ultimately you feel like I may grow too much and so you gonna let me go, I just don't have time for that. I just don't. I don't really like dealing with the personalities and the attitudes of folks who ultimately you find out are intimidated by what you bring to the table. I just don't have time for that.
So were you like a level 1, level 2 help desk? Where were you before?
At Pew?
At Warco?
Yeah, I was. Honestly, I was more of a 2 and 3 than I was a 1. But like I said, we did it all. We did levels 1, 2, and 3.
Okay, so there's pretty much no escalations. You just took care of the problem.
There were some escalations. I mean, like on the major back end of things, we would escalate it. But for the most part, everything started and in most cases ended with us.
Okay. Can you describe, I guess, an instance where you did have to escalate something?
The internet went down.
Okay.
And we, did what we could on our end, like check the ports and even run tests on our systems. And, we find out that it actually did go down. So we ended up having to contact, the network guys to find out what was going on. And they ultimately had to get in contact with Verizon because they found out or discovered that, one of the lines had gone down that Verizon had on their end.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem.
So we kind of went off on a little tangent right there.